We have a tendency in law to try to draw a clear line between public and private. So we do this, for example, with law courses, and we do this with institutions. My research focuses on corporations in general, and more recently, financial institutions in particular. And corporations are private entities that generate and should generate profits for their shareholders, the private aspect, but they're also institutions in society that have social obligations. More clearly identifying and articulating those social obligations or responsibilities is a common theme in much of my research. So in my courses, I try to prompt my students to think about the why behind the law. If you don't understand the why, then an area of law can seem like a jumble of rules that isn't even consistently applied. But if you do understand the why, then sometimes, not always, but sometimes, it starts to make more sense and you can see a coherence in the law. Currently, I'm working on a project with a community economic development organization, Seed Winnipeg, and this research is being funded by the Law Foundation of Ontario. And what we're doing is we're trying to examine potential gaps in investor protection with respect to group plan RESPs. So recently, the federal government has been more actively promoting RESPs in order to increase uptake of the Canadian Education Savings Bond. And they're also trying to encourage low-income Canadians to save more for their children's education. The problem with group plan RESPs in particular is there can be very high fees at the front end and then harsh penalties at the back end if the child beneficiary doesn't end up going to an eligible post-secondary institution. And our concern is that investors, and in particular low-income investors, might not realize these risks when they put their money into a group plan RESP. So part of what we want to do is gather some qualitative empirical evidence of the actual experience of low-income investors in group plan RESPs to see where the gaps are in securities law and enforcement of those laws, and to better improve those to actually address the concerns of low-income investors. I think it's important for legal scholars in my area, but in other areas as well, to connect with researchers in other areas, for example, economics and sociology, so that we can make sure that the law is addressing actual problems that people have, and for me in particular, problems with navigating an increasingly complex financial marketplace.